Yes, I had some false charges out of Itasca, and I'm not quite certain on what to do because I reported to Internal Affairs, and I just really didn't get anything done, and I still have the charges for trying to report crimes the police department was committing. And you got the district attorney had evidence because they lied and said I assaulted an officer and evaded arrest, and those charges were dismissed, but they kept me with this other charge. And if they have
Were you arrested were you arrested for an additional charge?
can you tell me this? Can you have my information and you can get clarity?
Uh, you don't know if you were arrested for an additional charge?
I just, are you able to look it up? What's your name?
My name is Angie.
Okay, would it be better if you
What's
looked
your
it
name?
up? Okay,
What's your last name?
Clark, Clark.
Okay.
So the problem of it is I have this false charge and I don't know where to go to dispute the charge. And you guys have evidence because they can't, they dismissed the charge for evading arrest and assaulting the officer, which is evidence they blatantly lied. And I was arrested for reporting a crime the police department was committing. They said it was 911 abusive call by reporting misconduct and crimes by the police department.
Was this in 2018?
It was, but I still have that charge, and I don't know what to do because if they dismiss the charges for assaulting the officer and evading arrest, knowing the full blown well the officers lied, why would they stick me with this other charge? Then they gave me another charge. I didn't realize that that county was corrupt. I had another charge for something else, and then when I realized that I was being set up, they dismissed the charge but had me on probation, and I paid probation fees. I haven't been refunded. Then I came to court and fainted, and then they sent me a bill. The judge called the ambulance because I fainted at court, and then they called. Then they tried to send me a bill for the ambulance, and I was already in financial distress.
Okay, so those charges that were actually filed were misdemeanors. The only felony charge,
Misdemeanors, plural.
what? Well, I see two misdemeanors from one from 2017 and one from 2018.
Okay, I'm talking about the other one, the 2017 one was dismissed when I didn't go to my abuser's party. They dismissed that after I had to pay the probation fees. I'm calling
Okay.
for the 2018. Why would I be forced to have this charge? And there was evidence that the police department made false statements. What happened to the charges of evading arrest and assaulting the officer that were blatant lies?
Ma'am, I don't have any charges filed for that. The assault of peace officer charge was a rejected charge. So
Right. So you do have the
there was
charge,
not a
but it
case
was
filed on
dismissed.
that.
What's your name?
My name is Angie.
I just really don't go very far for all these in person and on the phone. I just can't put my finger on it. So you said you didn't have a charge, and then you said I have the charge, but it was rejected.
Well,
My question of it is, if there's evidence that the police department did they get a charges making false reports as a crime? Isn't that a felony?
ma'am, I don't know. I have any information about
I'm
that.
just
All I
not
can
quite
see is
certain if
what
this
is
is the
in,
district
ma'am,
attorney.
ma'am. All I can,
I
ma'am.
have a purpose for the call, and I repeatedly experience this year after year.
Okay,
I'm trying to get a
ma'am.
resolution, and I feel
All,
like I'm being forced into a problem. If you let me speak, and I
ma'am.
can tell you why I called. I repeatedly experienced this
You,
for 10 years. Can I tell you why I called? I feel like
the
I'm
only
being controlled
information,
and
the only
railroaded.
information I
I
can
would
give
like to
you
speak,
is the
ma'am, because
information that I can
I would like
see.
direction on how to get police that took bribes and took my freedom accountability because I still have that charge. You won't let me speak to cover for it, random person that I call. It's been happening 10 years. So I don't understand why the district attorney would cover for crimes. So I would like to know if making false reports is criminal. Why would you not want me to know that? And this is a district attorney. Are you covering for their misconduct and criminal activity, ma'am?
Would is it my turn to speak now?
Are you going to answer my questions or are you going to evade the questions? I'm not quite certain on why you're not
I'm
alarmed.
trying to answer your
You saw the
questions, ma'am, but
rejected
you're speaking
charge. That's
over me.
evidence that they were making false reports. What was done?
Okay. When you are ready to allow me to speak, you can call back. Okay.
Are
Have a
you
good day.
gaslighting me to keep me in the problem, ma'am? They won't hang. They won't answer.
Attorney's office.
Yes, I had someone that was covering for crimes, and I'm not quite certain on what to do because all environments are covering up for criminal activity. I was explaining to her officers made false reports, and she hung up in my face to cover for it, and it's been happening 10 years. So I informed her that you guys had information, and she had it on her screen that things were rejected, and then she tried to lie and cover for it, and then said she saw it. But if all these people are in a conspiracy, not getting charges, I'm not quite certain what to do. I want to leave the country because it just doesn't seem to be allowed being done with an extreme amount of abuse of power. So I'm forced to have these false charges, and there's evidence that these police committed crimes because they rejected charges for evading arrest and assaulting an officer. And I wanted accountability, but she didn't want those officers to have accountability, so she blamed me and hung up to cover for it. I've experienced this at multiple different false charges and false reports, and I'm just not quite certain on what to do with it. If everywhere I go is covering for crimes.
Okay, have you reported it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a follow up and find out what's going on because you guys did reject the other charges where it was obvious that, excuse me, that the officer lied on me because she said I assaulted her and I was in a different area. If I'm as how she didn't want me getting her phone because they lied and said I called 911 and I showed them that I was calling on the non-emergency line, but they were trying to set me up. So she didn't want me getting her my phone to show her evidence. They were trying to cover for another police. I didn't know it was this big, huge conspiracy. But nonetheless, you guys rejected those charges because it was obvious the police department blatantly lied on me, but I'm not quite sure why you didn't pick up charges for them. She actually got promoted after the false arrest, as well as another officer. But this has been a repeated pattern of promotions for committing crimes.
Okay, you'll probably need to call maybe the Texas Rangers or something.
I did, and I went to the Texas Rangers actually and was arrested there in corruption. I tried to call the police on the Texas Rangers because they were committing a crime, and I just don't know how to get government officials accountable. They were laughing and smirking and wouldn't let me go to court. I had crimes were being committed to keep me away from a child, and I was on the line with the court. They disconnected the call. I didn't know that they were monitoring it. They said that I have free calls, but they had an interest in me not calling that court. Then they put me in a cell where I couldn't use the phone, deprived me of my right to go to court, and all kind of other violations and mind games that people wouldn't believe. But they denied me the right to my phone calls. And when they found out I was on the phone with that court, disconnected the call. I'm not sure what interest the police department had for me not talking to this family court. I had a court date the next day, and I wanted them to know I was in jail on false charges. But after that, they disconnected the call. Mary Murphy, a judge that I never met, terminated my rights, and I can't do anything about that, and multiple other felonies that have racked up. But what I've reported all of this to the police department. They deny investigation that my daughter was being abused at a Tasca school district, that she was being mistreated. They allowed her to wet herself. I lied in the community. There was a witness that said that the school was bullying her over giving my daughter a ride. Then they called CPS because I said that I had her walking to school, but they were telling her ride to not give her a ride. So the school was trying to set me up, these teachers. And I reported that to the police and they covered for it. They also failed her in malice, mistreated her, tormented my child. They did the same thing to me. She was only 8.
Okay, yeah, you might want to call like the Texas Rangers or somebody to report,
I'm just not. This is a district attorney. What, guys? Don't you approve charges and investigate charges that are put on people?
We don't investigate charges here. We take cases from law enforcement.
I'm sorry. What do you do?
We take the law enforcement entities. They investigate the cases and they submit it to our office.
So what do you do there, the district attorney?
We prosecute felonies.
Okay, so do you make sure that it's a legitimate charge?
When the law enforcement submits a case, we will present it to grand jury.
Is it your responsibility to make sure it's a legitimate charge? Is my question.
Well, with felonies, it goes before a grand jury.
So the district attorney does not make sure that people have legitimate charges. Who makes sure that the charges are legitimate? Whose task is that?
When we get charges here as a felony, we have a grand jury that indicts them.
So I'm not quite sure the direction to go to find out who makes sure that charges are legitimate and people aren't putting bogus charges on people.
I would, you might want to call
the district attorney. Don't have any direction on who does that?
I would call the sheriff's department or the rangers and see if they can help you.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So is there a prosecutor in defense?
We have 3 prosecutors here.
Okay, so there's nobody governing someone that repeatedly puts false charges on someone. No one governs to make sure charges are authentic.
We have, with a felony in any county, they all go before a grand jury. A grand jury will indict them.
Okay, so the grand jury is the one that makes sure that the charges are legitimate and police aren't committing crimes and putting bogus charges on people. That's the grand jury that figures that out. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
They're the ones who say if they're going to indict somebody or they're going to no-bill somebody.
The grand jury.
Yes, but you're more than welcome to call the sheriff's office.
Okay, but if I'm asking about bogus charges, if you're saying the grand jury, it's their responsibility. Why would I call the sheriff's office? Sheriff's offices, I thought they put charges on people. My thing of it is,
we don't have an investigator here. You're wanting somebody to investigate it.
No, I think there's a disconnect when somebody has a charge. I thought that there was someone governing to make sure that the charges were authentic. And they had to have evidence. I'm not able to speak to get clarity on all my calls. I thought that it was. I'm not able to speak to get clarity to get the questions answered on all my calls for 10 years. So what my questioning is, if someone is putting bogus charges on someone, I thought that it was governed and they had to have evidence to put charges on people. But the disconnect is on who is requiring this evidence.
I don't think our office is the one that you're looking for.
But I'm not quite certain on why I would be denied information and direction to figure out, because I still have this bogus charge and another bogus charge. So I want direction on how to protect myself against false statements. Is making false statements for the district attorney criminal?
Okay. Well, you need to report that to law enforcement. Okay. We're not the office that you need to speak with. You need to report that to law enforcement.
But I don't know. How would I don't report it to the judge or the court?
No, you report it to the law enforcement.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So what am I reporting to law enforcement? Because they can't find any of my reports.
Whatever you just told me that you needed to do, that someone was doing whatever, you need to report that to law enforcement.
Okay.
Not us. We're not the office that does that.
Wait, and you're the district attorney?
Yeah, but we don't investigate
Okay,
crime.
and your name?
So, do you need the number for the sheriff's office?
Your name?
Do you need the number for the sheriff's office?
Is there a particular reason why you don't want me to have your name, ma'am? Are you doing something wrong?
No, I'm trying to give you the number to the sheriff's office.
I might have wanted to know your name. I don't know why. Are you doing something wrong with why you would want to withhold your name? Because I just haven't been able to get anything resolved for years. And I just don't think people understand that. I just don't understand why you would try to withhold your name. What are you doing wrong to where you don't want me to know your name?
I'm more than welcome to I'll give you the number to the sheriff's office so you can report anything that anybody's wanting to that you said someone's doing to you.
But I don't understand what you're doing wrong to why you would want to withhold your name. What are you doing that you're ashamed of to why you want to withhold your name? I don't know you, random person.
And I can give you their number for the police department.
I feel like I'm being railroaded in multiple different environments to be forced to take something that someone paid for. I don't think a man needs to be able to pay for problems and then enforce that I can't flee the problems that was purposely created. I feel that it's deliberate, that I'm trapped in something that someone prearranged in advance. I feel like that's what's going on. I'm just trying to prove it. I'm not quite certain why you're a random stranger and you are trying to withhold your number. And I don't think that the sheriff's office would be a good solution. I thought that they put charges on people and there's courts and, other avenues to make sure. I'm just trying to get clarity on the legal justice system because I can't get legal representation. Ma'am, if you can just give me a chance, I experienced this call to call and I'm not allowed to speak and I'm railroaded to be mistreated. So I thought that the sheriff's office put charges on people and then there was courts and judges and other avenues to govern that and make sure that they have enough evidence to prosecute. That's what I thought. So I thought that you railroading me to go over to the sheriff's department would be a dead end like what I experienced years. I'm trying to figure out, and I don't think the Texas Rangers is a good fit because I was arrested there.
Our office is not the one that can help you.
I want to speak with the supervisor, ma'am, because I feel like I'm being railroaded for 10 years to get nowhere, nothing done.
So, call law enforcement, okay?
I don't want to speak to law enforcement. I'm asking for a supervisor. She hung up.
Okay, police department, how can I help you?
Yes, may I have your name?
Courtney.
Okay, I was railroaded to call you guys. I had multiple different reports there. None of them were investigated. Break-ins, car windows busted out. Someone did something to my car. Teachers fell in my child in malice. Gang stalking, voyeurism crimes, all kind of insanity. And I was kind of new to experiences like this, so it was terrifying to be denied law enforcement. Someone was telling me what I was doing at home, and the police department had evidence of it and left doing my report. And then a car window busting out, and then James Hastings and school teachers making false statements and behaving peculiar. People would walk in my house, and my daughter confirmed that this bizarre behavior. People I barely know would just come in there. One time I just had panties and a bra on. It was peculiar that these people behave like this, and I realize now I'm being gang stalked. But nonetheless, I got false charges, and all these reports disappeared. And the teacher came up there and made sure that Itasca School changed grades. They failed her with a 40, and they did it the prior 6 weeks in malice. So when they failed her with the 40, the school wasn't aware that I was keeping all her grades. She got 107 on this test that was really hard, and then they put good job on it. They didn't know that I was reviewing her grades. But Officer Scott saw it and then had the teachers change the grades. They gave her an 80, but she was actually making an A. But later, Officer Scott took my freedom on blatant lies and then covered for the school's misconduct. So then I called the police on James Hastings because he was trying to frame me with mental illness and put that in court records. But it was a gas worker there that said that he was behaving peculiar and come talk to the police about that. She said that you need to check his credentials because he's behaving odd. The James Hastings was trying to set me up and frame me with mental illness. But if that gas worker wasn't there, he would have done it. So the gas worker said he was behaving peculiar and told me to call the police department, and I did.
Okay. So I'm listening to all this, and you're mentioning the school and Officer Scott. So
I'm just trying to show you a history that I made multiple different reports, and I'm trying to show you how I was being violated in that community. And there's a track record of evidence with my car's windows busted out, but some kind of way I'm being denied all those reports. And the police officer, the police officer was there, and I took a picture of it when they had to know when I was gone to take these TVs. And I've heard of gang stalkers having cameras in your place. So they know when you're leaving that I had all these weird events when I was leave. Stolen money, things came up missing. And the police department had evidence of it, and I'm not quite certain on why all these reports disappeared. Because if I had break-ins, windows busted out, why would people just want me to be mentally ill to cover for it?
Okay, so when you mentioned the school, that'll be the Hill County Sheriff's Office. As far as the officer coming out, when you said your windows were broken into, was it the Itasca police or was
right? The windows were busted out. There was a break-in on a separate occasion. Then charges were put on me when I didn't go to this man's party. My electricity was cut off and gas. That's why the gas worker was there. And I had all kind of other bizarre behavior. The gas was cut off when I didn't go to an event that he had. So the gas worker was there, and she heard how James was behaving and said it was suspicious. And then they tried to have her be in cahoots, but she wouldn't be. Because they talked to her separately, the police and James. It was bizarre. And I said, what are you guys doing out here? Why are you talking to her? Why wouldn't you let me know you're here? So the police and James were talking amongst themselves with the gas worker. If I'm calling the police on James, why is the police department talking to James? James drove off when he incriminated himself. Then came back. And then when he came back, two parties were talking to the gas worker. And the gas worker was like, when I got there, I said, what's happening here? She said, how can I help you, Miss Clark? Frustrated. So I guess they wanted her to be in cahoots because she was a witness and she refused to do so. And then she said, you need to check out both of those before she left to check out those credentials. But we didn't realize at the time that it was something bigger than both of us because all these people, it's way bigger than that. People trying to enforce crimes on civilians. But she wouldn't do it.
I guess my question is, are you needing me to do as far as get in touch with the officer here?
What was your name?
I'm Courtney.
And what is your position?
I'm just the administrative staff. So I just answer the phone for them, and then I get the reports.
Well, if I cannot establish a conspiracy if people are repeatedly covering for crimes and hiding reports. What I'm trying to do is expose a conspiracy in each location I'm at, asking me how to do law enforcement. So if they indeed have a job task of doing law enforcement, but they want to railroad me and put it off on me on crimes they repeatedly commit, I don't get anywhere. So if calling the police department exposing multiple different crimes and then repeatedly over and over I hear, what do you want me to do, when they're actively with making that statement committing a crime? If I'm reporting criminal activity, I thought it was mandatory reporting. But some kind of way, everywhere I'm calling, they want me to ask me what I want them to do about reports of criminal activity and conspiracy charges. So if I made all these multiple different reports, I'm not quite certain on why you're not giving me direction or finding a solution to these crimes that were repeatedly being committed. I've told you about false reports. I know
you mentioned Officer Scott. Was there another officer that showed up?
Yes, it was a male officer. I can't think of his name, and he was crying at court and hysterical. That was pretty peculiar. If someone is testifying against someone and they're crying and then act like they're being violated and I'm making false statements to someone, I don't understand why that wasn't a red flag to that court, why officer was crying at court. But since then, they make sure the conspirators don't have hearts and then bully and mistreat me. Obviously, he felt some kind of way about, lying and slandering me at court and was crying during his testimony. Now they make sure before all the conspirators are completely heartless so things like that won't transpire again. But I'm not quite sure what to do about these thousands of felonies that repeatedly rack up for a decade.
And you don't live here now, do you?
I don't really want to reveal where I'm at, but I still have the false charge as well as a couple other charges. And I'm just trying to get down to the direction on what to do, because if I have a false charge and there's evidence that these charges are false, who do I report that to?
So you'll need to contact the court.
I just did, and they directed me.
Court.
Okay, can you give me that number?
And when it happened here, I know you mentioned Officer Scott. Was it the sheriff or was it an Itasca police officer?
Who is Officer Scott with?
Was it Officer Scott?
I'm asking who's Officer Scott with.
Is it? Well, it depends.
You don't want me to know, ma'am? The people make things so difficult. Do you know who's Officer Scott is with?
So we have an Officer Scott that was with the sheriff's office that works at the school, that did work at the school, and then we did have a female Officer Scott.
It's a female Officer Scott.
Okay, so it was a female. So it was Itasca Police Department.
Okay, that's why I'm asking. I was trying to get direction on what she was with to answer your question, but I wasn't really being heard.
Oh, no, you're fine. So I think it was Itasca, so she no longer works here, and the chief that was under her.
But for years, people have lied to me and told me people don't have positions when they really did.
Right. No, and I wouldn't lie to you. She no longer works here. We actually have a new chief now. We do have an officer that was here at the time she was here, so I'm gonna pass your information over.
You did say that I want to call. You're distracting and deflecting. You said that I need to call the court, and then you tried to change the topic to get off
No. The reason why I was saying the court, because if the charges have already been filed.
You said that I need to contact the court. And I asked you for the number of the court, and you tried to redirect and distract. Can I have the number for the court? Because are you saying that if someone puts charges on someone fraudulently, they're trapped in that for profit? No one gets accountability for countless felonies?
No, the reason why
I'm just not getting clarity. I'm just trying to make sure that these questions are answered, and for 10 years they're not. So are you saying that if someone takes bribes to repeatedly put charges on someone, they're free and clear from it? There's no accountability for slandering someone and making false reports as a police?
No, I'm just what I was asking about the officer, because if it was the sheriff's office,
I'm not question isn't being answered, ma'am, as it hasn't been for 10 years. If the police department slanders someone as well as an army full of people and make false reports to take their freedom and put cases on them, all right, what is the consequences for repeatedly doing that? Because I was directed to call the police department. If the police makes false reports, which is a criminal, and armies full of other conspirators, what is who picks up those charges?
So it'll be the Hill County. I'm going to give you the court.
I'm sorry. Who picks up the charges? The Hill County court picks up charges.
So, right, it'll go to the Hill County, the courthouse. It'll be Hill County.
Okay, so let me make sure I have clarity. So the Hill County court picks up charges for the police department making false statements, and the Army's full of other conspirators. Is that correct?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay, I'm not quite sure for 10 years why no one has an understanding. I need definitives because, as you can see, this has been going on a long time. My daughter witnessed false arrest, screaming in terror, and being violated at the school when she was 8. She's now about to be 16, and I still can't see her. So people not having definitives for all this extended amount of time is inexcusable. So I would like to have certainties on these army full of conspirators and making false reports to railroad my life, how they get their charges for their crimes. If you have voyeurism crimes, an 8-year-old being violated, false reports, someone coming in someone's home, breaking in their house, stealing TVs, busting their windows out, putting sugar in their tank, why would the police department cover for someone being tortured and an 8-year-old child? Then a gas worker, then I'm reporting along with a witness that these teachers are indeed harassing me and telling me not to give her child a ride. These teachers are also slandering this woman. Their tip was passing around the community that I was problematic and I'm mentally ill and I didn't know them. She said that the teachers are harassing me because I'm giving her daughter a ride. Why would the teachers want to enforce that my 8-year-old child walk? And then I told them I was in a domestic violence crisis. Then called CPS and lied.
Okay, so I'm asking the lieutenant now on my other phone. As far as the charges, you mentioned.
I'm just not quite sure what the evidence is. If my windows was getting, then the gas worker saying that this man James Hastings was behaving odd. There's witnesses to the insanity. James Hastings, the gas worker was there with the police department saying that this man is behaving odd. James Hastings of Hillsborough CPS, everybody that was in cahoots have now stopped working all over the place, everywhere I'm at. The gas worker said, we told the police this man is behaving bizarre. He had terminated my rights, didn't follow any kind of protocol, period. Now the family court is now psychic and has terminated my rights for the same child for a judge that I've never met. I go to CPS to report it. The police department keeps coming, giving me criminal trespasses, bullying me, and eventually took my freedom at another location. So I'm just really not getting the resolutions on all these reports of evidence that I'm being terrorized because my reports are really unusual. So I need for all these witnesses for the police department not to repeatedly keep losing all this evidence, and tampering with evidence is a felony charge. So the man that came in that arrested me with Officer Scott that was crying on the stand still saw that someone was illegally monitoring me on these Facebook pages. This seemed like it was one party. But what he chose to do with that evidence is to walk off while I was talking. So voyeurism is a crime, and to force someone to be in an environment where someone is illegally monitoring them, watching them on camera, and the police department not investigating something serious like that with the 8-year-old child in the environment. So because the police department wouldn't investigate it, I left to go to a domestic violence organization because I could not be alone in my own home with someone watching me, telling me that I did not want to be with her because they kept violating me and appeared to have someone else. So I did not want this party watching me at home, and I couldn't do anything. It was a track record of me being violated and my kids. I'm just trying to figure out where this evidence went, because tampering with evidence is a felony charge. And a task I made multiple different reports, and passing the buck all around for all these years is getting me nowhere. So I need to figure out that gas worker that stated that this man is behaving odd, where that report went. The lady that was giving my daughter a ride that stated that the teachers are harassing me and also slandering her in the community, where that went. My report of my daughter going over this person's house and getting strangled by her daughter, and then the police department wouldn't investigate that. So since that happened, my daughter has been controlled. Because of these strange people that I believe are gang stalkers are tormenting me and my family, and I'm trying to prove it. So my daughter would do bizarre things at home. So I think that she was being tortured and traumatized. Like the school teachers keeping her after school, were evidence of that, and then forcing her to walk home at night, 8 years old.
Okay. So I spoke to Lieutenant. I called him. He advised me that if it has anything to do with family court, CPS, I need to get
How
the
did you
district
call him
court's
and we've
phone
been on the
number.
phone? That doesn't make sense. You called him.
I called him on my cell phone.
The call wasn't it you and weren't listening to me speaking and made a call?
No, I was listening to you speak, and I had him listen. That way, we can kind of figure out which direction to go, because it's going to be the
I'm
district court's
tampering with
office.
evidence is a felony. I'm not quite certain on why so many people are racking up felonies and feel comfortable with it. I just told you about a lot of mayhem and evidence and witnesses. And it's a felony crime for all these witnesses to be saying, yes, this woman is getting violated, windows busted out, child tormented, voyeurism crimes. If someone watching, and then even more strange things that I can't report because they're even more bizarre. But I'm not quite certain if the police department had evidence that we were being violated in that community. Where is it?
So I can get with him on as far as the evidence. I'm going to get your name and number so he can take a look at that. But if there are any charges that have already been filed against you, any felonies, I need to give you the district court clerk number. So
it was a misdemeanor. They did not like me reporting crimes that the police department was committing and gave me 911 abusive call. They did it in another environment for reporting crimes the police department was committing, and they gave me tickets for reporting crimes the police department was committing. So each time I'm trying to report misconduct and criminal activity by the police department and government officials, my freedom is taken. I'm getting tickets, violated, and things of that sort, which is criminal. You don't enforce crimes on a civilian for profit, and it's been happening in a decade. I'm just trying to compile evidence that's what's happening. So I'm not quite certain on why it's been impossible to report the crimes the police department repeatedly chooses to commit. Tampering with evidence is a felony, and I haven't been able to report it all these years. They have all this evidence and tampered with it, which is a felony charge, and took my freedom to cover for crimes. And they have done it 20 other times. So we're still not getting a resolution of where all these reports went and a remedy to all these disappeared reports and the felony charge of tampering with evidence to get accountability for people that chose to do that.
Right. That's why I'm going to get your name and number so that Lieutenant Don can look into that. Lieutenant Don will be the one that has to go through those records. And if you want to contact the county clerk, since you said it's a misdemeanor, see if they have anything. As far as anything that was filed.
Did you said you talked to the lieutenant? Do you guys have any record of when I stayed there?
It will go through Lieutenant Don.
You called? You said you talked to him and you got resolution. You talked to him, and what happened when you talked to him?
He said he directed me to which court you would need to call.
Okay, and what court is that?
It'll be the county. It'll be 254-582-4040.
And what am I calling them regarding?
If you're looking for any files, any reports that have been made, if it's already been charges that have been filed, they can possibly look that up. If there's anything that Don needs to look up,
possibly,
he'll be able to look that up.
Because I don't get definitives. I find that peculiar. So why would they lose reports and charges?
I don't know if they've lost the report or not, because I can't look those reports.
That's just bizarre for you to say if. What was your statement? If I didn't think that it was possible for you to lose charges you put on someone. I didn't think that you had that right to do that.
I can't see that on my end. That would go.
I just think that's peculiar. Like, I don't know if the IRS will let you have your tax return even though it's due. I find that peculiar that you're not sure if they'll have charges for me. I thought that they had to have them. I didn't think that they had a choice to put a charge on me and then decide that they can't see it to enforce crimes on me. Are you saying that they may or may not see this charge? This fraudulent charge?
I'm not saying anything because I didn't work here at that time, so I don't have any record of any of the charges or anything on file because I can't see that from where I'm sitting.
Okay, so I'm just not quite certain. I'll call them, but I don't know how to report false reports and criminal activity that the police department repeatedly commits. Because all of this evidence is substantial. If you want to
make a report, it'll go through Lieutenant.
I don't know. I'm trying to come and report a crime, and I've been robbed of it. I'm not really getting direction. If the police department repeatedly racks up felonies for themselves over and over again, how it can be reported and investigated. Because I didn't know that you could be above the law and rack up countless felonies and enlist countless people to be accomplices to abuse and crimes and never be held accountable for it. I thought in the United States of America, when someone racks up countless felonies for themselves, they would be held accountable, and not that it would be impossible to get charges for people that repeatedly commit the crimes and break the law. So I'm not quite certain on what to do with all this tampering with evidence, location to location, everywhere I live. So if with the chart, all the reports of the crimes that I was reporting to the police, I'm trying to get accountability on what happened to them and why nothing was done with all this tampering with evidence. So you're saying that I need to contact the court and to figure out why all these police in this location, as well as armies full of other locations, chose to break the law and tamper with evidence, and how they lost all these countless reports and witness testimonies?
I will call, yes. Yes.
So
now,
I call the court.
That Lieutenant needs to look up, he will look that up as well too and get in touch with you.
Okay, did I give
you? He can see what had happened during that time. If there's anything that you need to file or you want to report about the previous officers that were here, you would file that police report with Lieutenant.
Okay.
Like I said, it'd have to be in person. And I know
I came in person to get nowhere. I just get the runaround. I just don't understand why people have catch-22s year after year to exclude me from law enforcement. They seem to know an avenue to keep me from getting law enforcement all over the place or getting services. They seem to be aware of who I am and what's going on. But when I came in person, I was denied assistance. So I'm not getting anywhere. They had a scam several years ago that I needed to come in person to get situations resolved. They knew I wasn't local. Then when I came in person, I still got nowhere. I think that these are deliberate cons to keep me from law enforcement, and that's what I'm trying to expose. If the police department committing crimes, I'm not sure of the relevancy, whether you report that over the phone or in person. I've done it to get nowhere. I'm not quite certain on what's being done with all my reports in the past. Why we can't address what happened to the past reports instead of making me make other fruitless reports in the present to get nowhere. Let's address what happened to all the past reports that were uninvestigated. That's what I'm calling for, to not keep on making repeated reports to get nowhere. Can someone tell me what happened with all the other countless reports that I made is my question.
That'll go through Lieutenant.
Okay.
I'm going to give him your contact information, and then the date range of possibly when that happened, and then he'll be able to look up those and see if there's any reporting on that.
But I'm just not quite certain that there's evidence and witness testimonies on how to get charges for police that break the law. That the lieutenant can help me with that on direction on how to pick up charges for all these people that slander me all across, pathologically lie on me to railroad and violate my life. Because I need education and information on how to get these people their charges. Family members have done it. All kinds of people blatantly lie on me pathologically. And it's been serious. It got me put out of restaurants, banned, denied services all across the board, put me out of hotels on blatant lies, shelters. So it's critical that I address these people that repeatedly pathologically lie on me.
I'm going to get him your contact info. So the number that you're calling from,
you said that you'll see if he can look into it? See, this is what I keep experiencing.
No, I'm going to have him look into it. Right now,
you just said that I'm going to see. I'm going to have him see if he can look into it. That's what you just said.
Okay, but he will be looking into it.
That's not what you said.
He's the only one patrolling right now.
I don't get definitives for 10 years. I get treated like that. Okay, so he will look into it, not see if he can look into it. That's not what you said, though.
He'll give me the information. If he needs to call you, he'll call you. Or if there's a report or anything, he'll have me email it to you. As of right now, he's out patrolling, so I have to give him your information. That way, when he goes back to the office, he can take a look at it.
Okay, so he will check into who will get how these people will get the felony charge for tampering with evidence. He's going to address that.
And he'll need the names, he'll need the dates, but I'll have him look into that and contact. He'll contact you.
I'm just trying to get clarity. I want a definitive. I don't think that my question is really being answered. I want to know. I'm not able to speak, ma'am. I've been experiencing this 10 years. I'm in the middle of a question. My sister even did it. Repeatedly, I feel railroaded because each time I'm trying to get something addressed and resolved, people are deliberately trying to sabotage my ability to take care of business year after year. So my question of it is that police that have tampered with evidence and committed that felony crime, he will give me a remedy and get these people their charges for breaking the law?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Whatever solution he has, he will let you know what that solution is directly from him.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get that information over to him.
Okay. Thank you. My abuser says they're bought off and paid in full. I don't think it'll happen until they get their charges. The FBI is going to have to do something to put these people under control.
No, and I completely.
Oh, I'm talking to my YouTubers, ma'am. You want to see my channel? It's Kiana Clark, Keyya. Yeah, you can give it to the chief so he can see what I go through.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Or the lieutenant.
I'll have Don look into it because that way we both get clarification on it, and then he'll get back with you as far as what you need to do is filing your report.
I've already filed reports. I don't think that I'm really being heard and they weren't investigated, and I'm trying to report that tampering with evidence. I've made probably 250 to 300 reports because I would get threatened 3 or 4 times a day. As you can see, there's an extensive amount of criminal activity. People at locations would get in the shower with me, threaten, hit and runs, all kind of insanity. And it's like it escalated to 300 and something reports. But the problem of it is people are tampering with evidence, and it's not the insanity I endure is not being investigated. They don't want proof that I'm actually being gang stalked and violated, and they're reckoning up felonies of tampering with evidence, even with eyewitness testimonies to cover for crimes, which is criminal. And I'm trying to address those parties that repeatedly choose to do that and take my freedom repeatedly over and over for cover up, like Officer Scott did and that other officer that was crying on the stand. So I really couldn't get far with my legal representation because she was covering for it and played mind games. They had me go out of my cell to talk to her, and I was at the edge of my seat because they were on false charges. Then they had me go back to my tank and said it was a misunderstanding. I couldn't talk to my attorney. It was a mind game. They said that she had another client she needed to see instead of me. Well, I said, well, why would you let me out of my cell to come see her if she had somebody else that was more important to me? They didn't have answers. Then they decided they didn't need me at my court date. So they excluded me from court. I didn't know that was a possibility. They said they didn't need me there. They can defend me and, plead my case without me being there. So anyway, they made decisions without my permission that was not beneficial to me. So they told me to take notes. I took notes. Then I went to go use the bathroom. They crumpled up the notes and threw them away and told me I didn't need them. So this was my legal representation. This is when I was finally allowed to go to court. They held here. I took notes. I guess the notes were too incriminating. So when I went to go use the bathroom, my notes were gone. I just found my legal representation was peculiar. So anyway, all my legal representation on these false charges are peculiar. I told them I was being violated and tortured in Hillsborough jail, and they didn't seem to care and cover for it. You there, ma'am?
Yes, I'm here. I'm writing this, make sure I don't miss anything when I talk to Lieutenant. Okay, so I'm going to get your number and your name over to him and have him look at those. As far as what you'll need to do is your next steps. I'll give him that contact information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Constable's office.
Yes, I was directed to call this number. I'm having issues. I was directed to call this number. May I have your name?
This is the constable's office. Who am I speaking?
This is Bizarre, ma'am. May I have your name?
This is who?
This is the constable's office. I asked for your name. Do you know your name?
Yes, I know my name. I'm asking who's calling.
Okay, let me make sure I understand. So I asked you your name, and you're refusing to give me your name, and you demand to know mine?
What's your name?
My name is Kay, ma'am.
Kenya? My name is Madeline.
Kay, ma'am. Are you doing something wrong, Madeline?
I'm sorry, we're getting a bad connection.
You're getting a bad connection now, ma'am? They've been bad connections for years. I can't get law enforcement on why the connection is bad. And this man has already did the mowing over here. I've experienced these peculiar things. He's on the concrete mowing. I know people wouldn't believe my story. I tried to report this. He's already been over here doing the same thing, and when things are critical, he keeps coming back over here to do the same thing. People would never believe what I go through. I'm not quite certain on these multiple different environments why they choose to mow concrete. And if he's already did the yard work over here, why is he coming back now, ma'am? He's already did this on another call. So, ma'am, what I was trying to communicate, I got distracted by this man trying to mow concrete over here, but they've mowed concrete years. I just have to prove concrete repeatedly keeps getting mowed. I can't get law enforcement.
You're looking for the commissioner's office.
I'm not able to speak, ma'am. I don't know what's happening, ma'am. All I tried was directed to call over here, and I'm not really getting clarity, get able to communicate with you why I called. You didn't want me to have your name, and this man came over here mowing concrete and already has done the long work here, knowing nobody would ever believe my story. I can't record it because I don't want people to know where I live. But he was on concrete mowing it, and drowning me out speaking. Now someone has pulled up in the truck to enlist this man, whatever's happening here. I keep experiencing strange things like this, ma'am. I can't get law enforcement to prove it. I want to close my blinds. I feel like I'm being stopped. So nonetheless, but nobody will do an investigation for gang stalking, ma'am. Now he's leaving now that he's talking to this man. Now he's no longer mowing the concrete. Mowing the concrete. Ma'am, I don't know how to report crimes for 10 years, ma'am. And now they probably can hear me, ma'am. I don't know. I can't get law enforcement. Why would someone come over here and mow concrete? Why are people knocking at the doors and calling me trying to interrupt me reporting crimes year after year? Now, whatever happened, the man is no longer over here mowing concrete. He's on the back of the truck. They have cameras here, ma'am. Did you hang up? She hung up. Wow, I'm done. I just can't believe it. You did the surefire mental illness reporting what the government has done. Nobody would ever believe it. There's cameras all over the place to report this so you could see this insanity. I would never believe it. That's why I record everything. Wow. I have to take a break for a minute. I just can't believe it. So I closed the blinds. What's happening is it's gang stalking, okay? I'm illegally being monitored. When someone is in a bind, people will be enlisted to call, knock on the door, interrupt, distract, and help conceal crimes as a team, community, teamwork. What I'm trying to do is spending all this time because it's very difficult to prove the insanity that I experience. So I'm trying to compile evidence that these are indeed real events. And it's not mental illness, but people are really doing these petty, unusual things. So I believe someone was illegally monitoring me, hearing that someone was put in a bind, sent someone over here to come back and mow concrete that had already been mowed, to interrupt and deflect and distract to conceal crimes. So that's evidence that I am illegally being monitored on my device and potentially in the environment. I don't perceive that a man that could abuse this much power would not want to commit further voyeurism crimes that he already got away with in the past. I think that it's pretty sound and sure that I am being illegally monitored with cameras on the inside of wherever I stay. So that's a pretty sure, fire thing that we can believe that's happening because he's already been able to abuse this much power. Why wouldn't he illegally surveillance me in my own living environment? Evidence of that is this man coming over here to mow concrete, if anyone were to review the camera footage, to try to conceal crimes. And all these people calling, interrupting, knocking for a decade, all over the place, interrupting, gang stalkers, just look at the videos. Never mind. Now I assume they won't answer. That's typically how.
Office?
Yes, I was directed. I was called and, I hung up, and I'm not quite certain on why you weren't concerned that I was going through a crisis situation when I was talking to you. Because you could have been a witness and if we needed law enforcement.
You need to call the sheriff's office.
But ma'am, if someone was having a crisis while you were on the phone with them, I'm not quite certain with government officials why you wouldn't deem it important for you to stay on the line in case you needed to call for help from me. But so many parties, including 911, hang up and enforce crimes on me. So if I was telling you I was in a crisis as we were speaking. If you're
having a crisis, you need to call
I'm just not quite
office.
Sure, ma'am, if I'm haven't got to the point of why I needed to speak with you. But if you heard someone in a crisis and you're a government official, why you would hang up? If someone was stalking me illegally.
I didn't hang up.
Oh, my phone is being hacked, so it hung up on its own, ma'am? Is that what happened?
No. That is not what happened.
You didn't hang up, but the call was disconnected. What are you assuming happened?
You weren't listening. You were not listening.
So you hung up?
You were not listening.
Did you hang up,
No,
ma'am?
I didn't hang up.
Okay, well,
I
someone
did
hung up
not
the
hang up.
phone. Someone hung up, ma'am, and it seemed like someone was hanging up other calls. But I'm not quite certain why
Okay,
all
what's
environments
your
cover for it.
what's your crisis? What's your
Well, you
crisis?
heard of me being stalked, and someone hung up the phone and didn't want you
What's your
hearing that.
crisis?
Okay,
What is
so
your crisis?
I don't know why I get bullied, ma'am. Call to call for all these years for being violated. If you heard that someone, never mind, ma'am.
What's your crisis?
Okay, so I was instructed to call you. Can you look up
Somebody's
my?
mowing your sidewalk?
Yeah, they were trying to distract me from speaking with you. I'm trying to show that I'm being gang stalked. It's on camera footage. This first officer you already called came on another call and was trying to drown me out speaking and distract me. They do it at church and weird things too. People just
Where do
won't
you
review.
live?
I don't want to report that, ma'am, but I'm just telling you what happened in the middle of our call. So he had already
Are
came
you
over.
in Hill County?
Can I tell you? You asked, and
I'm going to be honest with you. Someone else reached over and hung the phone up, honey. It wasn't me, so don't be blaming me.
Oh,
I
so
did
someone
not hang
overheard.
that
So
phone
someone
up.
was stalking you and heard I called. I reported gang stalking, ma'am.
I work in the office with a lot of people.
So they were stalking you and heard our call and then disconnected the call on me?
No,
So
they
they
were
not
sitting
only
there.
stalked me, but they were stalking you, ma'am, too? To
They were
violate
sitting
me?
there listening to you talk over me when I was trying to
Oh,
give you
wow, ma'am.
information.
This is probably why everybody else is behaving peculiar.
Are
Because
you
they're
living
probably
in
being stalked, too.
Hill County?
So I don't know why you don't want me to tell you what this man had done because he had already did this area and then came back to mow concrete again.
Did you live in Hill County?
Yeah, ma'am, can you tell me what happened? I was instructed to call you. Can I give you my information?
Who instructed you to call me?
The police
I'm just
department.
a mere clerk.
Yeah, they told me to get answers on charges that I had there through you. I've been getting to run around 10 years. I'm trying to prove it. How people play mind games and behave really bizarre for 10 years, trapping me in criminal activity that government officials repeatedly keep committing. Crimes they keep committing, it's not realistic. So I was instructed to call you to get down to the bottom of these false charges and to see what's going on with them. And I've been playing this game 10 years. I'm trying to prove it.
I don't know who instructed you. I'm a clerk. The constable serves civil papers. That's all we do. We just serve civil papers.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell me about the civil papers that were served to me when I was in jail? From the CPS, from James Hastings and CPS.
I can probably give you information on that. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to get that information. That was 2018.
Okay.
I was served some papers.
Do you have a case number?
No, I don't. I don't know the case because it was hid from me. I don't know what was really going on. But I was served papers from CPS.
You got the paper? Did you get the paper?
I don't recall it having a case number on it. It was about a court date for CPS.
Yeah. It would have had your court. It would have had your court date on it. It would have had your case number on it, and of course your name and address, or the fact
I was in
that you
jail,
were
ma'am.
incarcerated.
They interrupted me at church to try to, torment me from being at church. It was a mind game.
Were you incarcerated up here at the Hill County Jail?
I was. They kept serving me multiple different times when I was at church, so I couldn't enjoy church. Now they're playing other petty games at church that aren't realistic.
Okay, so you wouldn't happen to remember the constable that served you in
I'm not quite certain if you have my name and that I was in jail, and you said that you can pull this up. Why that we can't use that?
Oh, I need the precinct constable.
I was in Hill County Jail. I told you that. So
Okay.
you would know the precinct. There's no way that I would know that.
What do you need the constable to tell you about that?
I wanted to know the constable that served me for the CPS case with James Hastings. I wanted to know who that
case. And what's your full name?
It's Keyana, Keyana.
Keyana.
A-N-A.
Last name?
Keyana. Last name Clark, Clark. And I was served multiple other times.
Okay. Well, if it was out of the jail, that's going to be Constable Precinct 3. He's at lunch right now. But
I've experienced this for years, ma'am. I just really don't get a lot resolved because I keep getting a runaround. You said you can look up when I was served, and that's another precinct. What precinct are you, ma'am?
I work for 5 constables.
Okay.
Precinct 1,
So there's
2,
no
3,
central
4,
system
and
in
7.
Hillsborough alone that can tell you what the information on me being served.
Yeah, he can tell you.
Okay. What's his
He
name?
can tell you the info. Precinct 3 constable is Larry Armstrong.
How long has he
He's
been the
at
custody?
lunch.
He's at lunch. Okay. What's his number?
This is his number.
You
He's
can't
at
tell me
lunch.
he's the only one that can tell me?
He's in the same office here. We're all in this office together.
So the only
But
person that can tell me is someone at
boys,
lunch. Ma'am,
the
let me tell you
constables
what's
are
peculiar because I went to go get my taxes done. And there was like 4 or 5 people at a tax place. And they said the only person can do my taxes was out to lunch. I said, this is 4 or 5 people are here. What are you talking about? How is this a tax place? And I'm looking at 4 or 5 people, and you're telling me the only person that can do my taxes, it was random. This is really
I
peculiar,
don't
ma'am, and you have to prove
know
something like this
anything
repeatedly keeps
about
happening.
their office.
Because if it's
I
four
don't
or
know
five
anything
workers
about
that's
that
not
tax
working,
office.
why would you force me to speak with someone that's not there? So I was forced after getting off the bus to go to this tax place to not get anything done. And I didn't go back because it's 4 or 5 people at work, but that's free, but they want me to talk to someone that's gone. I think that they were denying me assistance, ma'am, and I'm just trying to prove that people repeatedly keep doing it. So you're saying that the only person that I can talk to, period, is someone that's not there right now.
If he served you the paper, that's who you need to talk to.
I don't know who served the paper because you won't look.
Understand that?
You won't look. Can you tell me?
The person that served you the paper, that's who you need to talk to. I'm looking and it's in. If he served you in jail, in Hill County Jail, that's Constable Larry Armstrong with Precinct 3.
And he's the only, you're looking at it? You said you were looking at it, ma'am?
Huh?
You said you were looking at it?
Yes, I'm looking at who serves the jail, and it's him. He serves people in jail because that's in his precinct.
And he's at lunch at 11:42?
They go to lunch from 11:15 until about 12:30.
Oh, he has a long lunch. Okay, ma'am. Well, these people don't normally call me back. I'm just trying to compile evidence of my experiences because I know they're not realistic. Do you think, is there anybody else I can call to get direction on why they're pinning false charges on me and why people haven't gotten accountability for countless felonies that are government officials?
I'm confused about exactly when the first time you called, you were talking about somebody mowing your sidewalk. Now you're talking about a CPS paper in jail.
Because I got interrupted. I'm just, if I can have time to speak, it's caused a speech impediment for the trauma that I experienced on these calls and speaking. Each location I'm directed and it's mind games and it's caused me to have a speech impediment because I have to try to hurry up and speak before someone deliberately interrupts me talking. So what I was trying to communicate with you, there was an active crime of stalking that was happening while we were on the phone, and it distracted me. He was in front of my window pretending like he was mowing concrete. I have a porch. So he was on the concrete staring at me in my window, and it was alarming, and I can't get law enforcement for people repeatedly treating me like this. Problem number one, you can't mow. I'm just trying to tell you what happened. Each time I try to tell you what happened, you cover for it. So problem number one, you can't mow concrete to be in front of my window. Number two, he's already mowed it and came back. Then someone pulls up in the truck promptly.
Is he still there?
Someone pulls up. I'm trying to tell you what happened, ma'am. Someone pulled up in the truck promptly because I'm getting gang stalking illegally monitored. I'm trying to prove it. Someone pulls on camera footage, pulls up in the truck promptly to interrupt. He gets in the back of the truck and then stops mowing altogether. So if someone is sending people out to stalk me, which I reported to multiple different police departments, and they have evidence and they're denying investigation for these extreme events, I believe that there's also voyeurism
Hill
crime.
County Sheriff's Office?
I don't know where to go because all these reports keep on coming up missing for 10 years. They won't investigate crimes over here. They're on camera footage. But people have mowed grass. People have mowed concrete again. Before in the past, I know people didn't believe me. But it's on camera footage. I explained this and had to delete the videos that people repeatedly keep mowing concrete to stalk and play mind games. If anyone were ever to do law enforcement, they can see this man in front of my window for the second time on a porch trying to mow concrete to see what I'm doing in front of my window.
You need to talk to an investigator with the Hill County Sheriff's Office.
They want to do law enforcement, ma'am. I have to take this stuff. They do it all the time, even get in the shower with me and watch me. Come into locations, get in the bed with me, and then strangle me, freaking other people out, and I'm treated like this and nothing's done. Dallas won't give me all my reports for all this insanity that I know people wouldn't believe. And it's be even more things that I can't report that aren't even less realistic than my experiences that I can't even talk about.
Have you got a pencil? Let me give you that number.
What is it? What is this number for, ma'am?
254.
What is this number for, ma'am? Because I've been getting numbers 10 years to get nowhere.
No, this is the sheriff's office. That's a criminal offense. If he's trespassing up on and stalking you up on your porch, you need to call the sheriff's office.
They don't do law enforcement, ma'am. People got in the shower with me and nothing's done. The shelter covered for it and the police department. I had to get out the shower. She was watching me shower. On camera footage, for witnesses of this living nightmare. Someone got in the bed with me. They would not lock the door. They pretended like the lock was broke and left it that way. Got in the bed with me and started strangling me and nothing was done, ma'am. This is how I'm treated and I have to normalize it. It caused other people to panic and then they call the police and then the police get covered for insanity like this I repeatedly experience. Other people are getting freaked out, everyone but the police department.
Well, you're calling the police department. You need to call the Hill County Sheriff.
I've been calling 10 years, ma'am, to get nowhere. The number that you're having me call, what is this regarding?
It's the sheriff's office. You need to tell them your story.
They won't do anything about it. People have gotten in the shower with me, committed all kind of felonies. They won't give. I'm being denied law enforcement. But I called you about the false reports, taking my freedom, saying I assaulted the officer and evaded arrest, which was a blatant lie. That evidence, they rejected the charges, and then they have me with this other charge that's fraudulent. That's what I called about. And I also wanted to know about when I was served from in jail as these CPS workers served me. And you said that he's out to lunch and no one there could give me that information.
I can take care of that part, but the stalker, no, that's a...
Okay, well, I want to know about being served by CPS when I was in jail on false charges.
Okay, well, I've got your number. Is it Kenya Clark 4...
Also, I don't know direction on where to go because I've been getting the runaround for 10 years on what to do with police. The charge being, I'm not able to speak on the other thing that I need, ma'am. And all my calls are like this for 10 years. I find it really abusive and psychologically abusive, and it's bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm not able to speak to tell you why I was directed to call you. There are charges that were rejected of me assaulting an officer and evading arrest that were blatant lies on camera footage and body cam of my daughter panicking when the police took my freedom for trying to report crimes. And ever since then, I haven't had access to her. All this was on body cam footage. Nonetheless, they still have this charge for trying to report crimes that the police department was committing. They have evidence because the police department lied on me and said I assaulted them and evaded arrest, and they rejected those charges but stuck me with another one. Then they have evidence of the officer crying on the stand, and then just, crying on the stand when he was making this false report. And nobody will investigate him.
Hillsborough Police Department?
Yes, he was crying on the stand and emotional, having a meltdown. Now they're on a list of people that are completely heartless. Then they tried to have a court date. They denied me and my sister my right to go to court multiple different times and tried to railroad me. They set up a court date at 7 p.m., and I thought it was bizarre, and so did the bailiff. He said that he's been working there over a decade and had never seen anything like it. They didn't want me there having court around witnesses, so they set up me my own court date at 7 p.m. with Judge Crane. Now they just decided to deprive me. After they did that, I can't go to court, period. But George Crane set up my own court date at 7 p.m. But at first, they wouldn't even let me go to court. He also,
Yeah, I
I
don't
had
know
a
much
bizarre
about the court. I
situation.
work down
I had a
here in
bizarre
the
situation
constable
where I had a
office.
lease agreement key and things moved in, and this man changed the locks on me when I had a lease agreement and key and things moved in. Judge Crane would not let me in. My daughter was crying. We were panicking. Had a moving van. The police department came and said, "Sir, you can't do that." This was Johnny Bowman in Hillsborough. Police department said, "I didn't even know I was targeted. You can't do that, Johnny Bowman. Bowman, she has a lease agreement and key. You can't change the locks." 3 or 4 other police cars came and then told Johnny Bowman he could, and then told the other police officer to leave. I know for a fact when someone has a lease agreement and key, that's no longer your property to go change the locks. They did it. It costing me thousands of dollars. So then, in addition to that, I paid $600 to be in a jurisdiction because I assumed that location was crooked. Paid the $600, went to my court date. They said I couldn't appear at court and kept my $600. I didn't know I was targeted. So then I was forced to go back to Judge Crane that covered for that and my false arrest and the blatant lies for this charge that I'm trying to dispute.
What court had you evicted?
He didn't evict me. He changed the locks, Johnny Bowman, in 2016, I believe it was, when I didn't know I was targeted. Changed the locks when I had a lease agreement key and things moved in and tried to steal my property. Kept my $1,000 deposit and told me to go to court to get it back. So the police officer told
I thought
him,
that dude died.
I'm sorry?
Guy.
This is how I've been treated, ma'am. So the police officer tried to tell Johnny Bowman that you can't do that. Then 4 other police, I didn't know I was being illegally monitored, and crimes were being forced on people. So then 4 police came and enforced that this other police officer not have integrity, and told him to leave to enforce crimes on me and Johnny Bowman. So Johnny Bowman changed scheme to force me into homelessness and wipe me out of my savings account, because I had to stay at hotels and I was denied shelter and didn't know I was being targeted. So I had a whole bunch of money saved up, jobs lined up, and that really broke my family. And then after that, there was a scheme to take children, but anyone willing to do law enforcement can see. But nonetheless, I paid $600 for the small claims court. Got defrauded out of that. Then I didn't get all the expenses for hotel stays and other things because he, did not follow proper protocol. And then they did not give me the my court costs and other expenses, which I wanted in the small claims court.
Wow.
Oh, it gets way worse than that, man. But I don't understand why the police, if someone has a lease agreement and key, that's no longer that party's property. But they've done even worse.
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you know what? Another thing that was peculiar, I tried to lease other different environments, 4 or 5. And then people retracted on services. And then I found out that the central hub of someone that was used as a reference was lying to people. And that's why all these people were denying me of rental properties. So I would get all these rental properties, and then people would say, yes, I'm going to rent one location. I even got lights cut on. And then I got the lights on, was supposed to move in, and then she retracted. It was bizarre. And I realized someone was behind with Johnny Bowman's behavior and multiple other parties. They were trying to sabotage my housing, and I'm trying to prove it. So I never moved into Johnny Bowman's location and there's other locations, and they had a light bill compiled up in both of those locations. And then I'm like, I don't live there, and they tried to stick me with these charges for the light bill for services I never used. I said I never moved in there, and then I tried to report that I don't live there, and they're still letting the light bill. They did it at another location when I was in jail on false charges. They let a light bill stack up, and I didn't even live there. After I was evicted, the light bill's still going up. So 2 different locations, they had me cut on electricity, then denied me of my shelter, and let the light bill build up when I didn't even live there, and the provider would not give me a refund. I didn't know it was financial crimes being committed. I didn't know that anyone could abuse this much power. But anyone willing to do law enforcement,
I've been messed up, isn't it? It's so messed up.
Yeah, 2 different locations telling you to move in. Cutting lights on one with a lease agreement and key, and you have things moved in depriving you of your right to live in your own environment. And nothing's repeatedly done for this insanity. And then demanding that I have 2 light bills in places that I never lived in.
Looks like the light company could figure that out.
I don't know who I was talking to, ma'am. I told the light company that it was crime. I didn't know that it was crimes, but it was pretty bizarre. Now I know it was deliberate, and it was a conspiracy that I'm trying to prove. But I find it highly peculiar that you have 2 locations that have you cut on lights because you're moving in that deprive you of moving. Then I had all this money saved up, job opportunities, and my child. Then he worked at a job that he was getting violated at and said the police department was bullying him. I'm just trying to prove my experiences. But I know now that someone was behind while Johnny Bowman in all these multiple different locations denied me move in when I already had agreements to move in there. Right. Someone was controlling my environment, and I'm trying to improve that it repeatedly keeps happening. But nonetheless, Judge Crane.
Oh, you got a home now?
I have a place that I'm living at, but someone's controlling all my environments. I don't know how long because no one's putting this party under control. Judge Crane handled that case. Then he handled another case when I was emailed a charge. Then when I didn't go to this man's party. Then he handled the case when I was arrested for trying to report crimes the police department was committing. He handled 3 different experiences that I had. I suspect Judge Crane was corrupt.
Oh, wow.
Is he still there, Judge Crane?
Oh, no, he's still there, isn't he?
And when I first met him, he was a really humble man, dressed really, humbly. And, it's kind of hard to believe he was a judge because he dressed so humbly. But when throughout my situation, that man looked like he was a Hollywood movie star. Like he had a makeover, had really expensive clothes, like he had a major payday.
Wow.
Yes, anyone willing to do law enforcement can see this. Because I'll never forget, I was like, I can't believe he's a judge. Oh, that quickly was over, ma'am. I mean, this man I was like, wow. I don't know what happened to Judge Crane, but Judge Crane looked like, after everything was said and done, looked like a Hollywood movie star.
See, I don't know him.
Oh, I do, ma'am. When that incident with Johnny Bowman, he was very humbly, and I was like, they must not be paying him very much. But by the time that I had this false arrest for trying to report crimes the police department was committing, he was like a Hollywood movie star. That's when they didn't need me at my own court dates. And then he was setting up his own court date for me at 7 p.m. at night. And the bailiff said he's been working there several years and never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So I found it highly peculiar that I'm giving people deposits, setting up moving vans and electricity, and then they're robbing me and then demanding that I pay light bills for places that I've never been in, moved in. And then why would they not let me move in and then let the light bills run up and I can't stop the light service? Because I never moved in the location. Why would you treat someone like that? Deny them move in and then let them pay for a bill for a location they never moved in?
Yeah, you got to wonder how many other people they're doing that to.
Right. And then all these financial crimes all over. Yeah, that's a major thing that I'm concerned about, but it doesn't seem to be getting investigated.
Yeah.
You just have to prove something like this is repeatedly happening.
I'm really sorry that the constable's not here and that you're not being able to get help. I understand running into these dead ends. I wish I could help you. I'm just a clerk. I don't, they have to be the ones to talk to you. But yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for your situation because I know people that's in the same boat, and it's not fair, and it's just an atrocity.
Yeah, that's a thing that I didn't realize that it was so common, because it seems like, so many parties in my environments, but if you ask me, it really seems like it's plants. Because I've never heard anything, it appears to be a mind game. I've never heard of anything like my experience. But each party that I'm communicating with try to tell me that that's normal. I don't think this is normal, ma'am. This is bizarre. I've never heard anything like this. And what's peculiar is people want to normalize this insanity that I have to endure. I've never heard of anyone that can have someone cut someone's electricity off and get away with it. that don't live there. Just the
It's
outside
like the
party that is
mafia or
mad that you
something.
didn't go to their party and has the electric company cut someone's electricity and gas off. But it's a peculiar on how many people are normalizing insanity like that. I've never heard of a judge covering for someone putting someone out of environment with a lease and key and then defrauding them out of the court costs and other fees. I never heard of a location that someone had paid $600 to go to court. Then they tell them they can't appear at court and they defraud them out of $600 as a court.
I haven't heard that either. I've never heard that.
Well, that's what you were normalizing that, and the Army's full of other locations normalize experience like that, forcing me to go to the crooked George Judge Crane. I had already had dealings with that area, and I figured that they were corrupt. Johnny Bowman says he knew all the police departments. He knew all the police, and he was good friends with them. So I deliberately tried to go to a location that was outside, that wasn't corrupt, and they defrauded me out of $600 on my court date. Someone met me like but I didn't know that someone can set this up. They met me trying to go to court and said, no, we're not handling your case, and defrauded me out of $600 that I paid for it. Then I had to pay again for Judge Crane.
Do you know things that on higher up people that they'd be out to get you for something?
Yes, I do. There's all countless felonies. I do know things. I'm a government witness, but I'm denied witness protection.
Oh my God!
And law
girl,
enforcement.
You better be careful. You better be so careful.
I had to normalize my life being in jeopardy, ma'am. I'm ready. I made my peace with God, and I tried to make my peace with my kids. They won't let me. They won't talk to me, and they cover for my life being in jeopardy. My other family won't talk to me or call me. So I tried to make my peace with my family, but if I'm murdered, they won't talk to me to make my peace with them. So they just want me to leave. That I don't think that they have any control over it. But that's devastating when you don't know if you'll be murdered any day and you can't tell your family you love them and what you're going through because they won't talk to you out of fear. But I've already had to normalize. I felt that I could be murdered at any time. I just have to normalize that. People getting in the shower with me, getting in the bed with me, choking me, ma'am. I just had to normalize it. So I thought, in my mind, I had to normalize it anytime I can get murdered. That's just a normal everyday part of life for me and being denied law enforcement in the process. So it used to be, I used to live in fear, but now I've already made my peace. People don't know what I'm going through because I just have to normalize being in jeopardy and not show, I couldn't live with the amount of fear that I had to be in. People say that I still
Have
say.
you got any kind of means to relocate yourself?
I keep relocating, ma'am, and people just repeatedly keep committing crimes everywhere I live. No one's willing to give me law enforcement, witness protection, or abide by the law. But the main objective is I'm trying to get accountability for police in Itasca to let me be violated in that community and deprive me of a law enforcement for the same kind of evidence of the same kind of reports I'm trying to make of being gang stalked and monitored illegally. They're trying to conceal that and deny me law enforcement to expose abuse like that. And that someone's illegally monitoring and enlisting people to gang stalk me, and I'm trying to prove it. But it's hard when people are in the police departments denying me law enforcement. But you have evidence, and whoever would be doing would do law enforcement, that this man came up on concrete with mowing equipment, and then was looking in my window to distract me from speaking to you. He's already been over here prior, so why would he need to come back a second time to do the same thing he already did? Then when I started talking about what he was doing, someone in the truck immediately comes up and rescued him. Then he got in the back of the truck and left. But I've experienced this for years. Like I said, someone got in the shower with me to do the same thing and the bed with me.
Can you give a description of the person?
And I'm denied law enforcement, ma'am. I'm trying to combat the fact that I'm being denied law enforcement for repeatedly experiencing insanity like this, plus insanity that I can't report. That's not even more or less realistic than what I'm reporting. So I would like to concentrate on why no one will do anything about police rejecting charges for me evading arrest and assaulting an officer, knowing that it didn't happen, but still gave me charges for something else that they know didn't happen because the police officer made false reports and one was crying on the stand, shaking and nervous. If he's crying, making a testimony against me and crying and having a meltdown on the stand for misdemeanor charges, and they're acting like it's a murder trial, people standing up with it filled, I think that my abuser wanted me to be humiliated in that community, ma'am. So it was the whole community was in there, and it was like it was a murder trial, people standing up. And I said, I didn't ask for this. Why am I having a jury trial? My crooked attorney said, I thought you wanted this. I said, how can you think I wanted this? And I couldn't meet with you. But they kept having court dates and everything excluded me. And playing mind games, having me come out my cell. Then I came out, and then they said they had to see someone else and couldn't see me. But I have experiences like this all the time.
Attorney?
I did. I think her name, Michael Michaela, something. I can't remember what it was. And then I tried to appeal the charges because they have evidence of blatant lies. But nonetheless, I couldn't appear at court. They were making decisions without me. So they had the huge court settings like I had murdered someone for a misdemeanor charge. People were standing up all in the community. I think it was deliberate for public humiliation. It was really intimidating that it was so many parties. The whole court hearing was filled up and people were standing up because it was so filled with maxed out with people. And then I told my attorney, I found that not to be ethical to having people that have already blatantly lied on me testify against me. She said, no, it'll be fine. I said, I don't see that he has integrity issues. We have evidence of that because he's already blatantly lied on me and those charges were rejected. She says, no, it'll be fine. I said, you don't think that you need to address to the jury that I didn't ask for, that this man has already made false statements and they were rejected? No, it'll be fine. So nonetheless, the man's on the stage crying to make it lying to the jury about me, and that is also what is that, perjury? Because he's crying and committing perjury crimes, and nothing was done about him.
Absolutely perjury.
Well, my attorney covered for it in an army full of other accomplices. So he's committing perjury on the stand along with an army full of other parties. They realized that I was a problem being at my court date from this situation, and now I'm no longer allowed, period, at court. It was too incriminating for me to be at my own court date, so now I'm not allowed. Nonetheless, the man is on the stage crying, and then at the beginning they told me to take notes, and I guess that they didn't realize that I had the intelligence level. I don't feel like I'm that intelligent, I don't mean to degrade myself, but I don't think I'm the smartest person on the planet. Nonetheless, they saw the notes and didn't like them when I got up to use the bathroom and threw them away. I said, what happened to my notes, my legal representations? He said that they didn't feel that I needed them and discarded my notes.
Oh my gosh. Well, they're just worried because you're smarter than.
I have no clue, man, what's happening. I'm trying to get insight, but nonetheless, I do have this false charge and some other peculiar felony charge for something that's supposed to be a misdemeanor that's peculiar, that I was railroaded, and this lady that I just got this charge that I just got from this lady that I got just recently blocked from Messenger. My device didn't want me blocking her, but this lady set me up for some charges. And then it was supposed to be a misdemeanor, and it's a felony. I used to be a doormat, and nonetheless, the charge was supposed to be a misdemeanor, and they made it a felony in error and won't correct it. So now I'm a felon for charges that I was railroaded into getting, but it's a misdemeanor charge, but it's a felony, and they won't discuss to me how I changed from misdemeanor to felony. But this person I've tried to block on Messenger because I felt that her behavior was peculiar, that my device didn't want me blocking her until I got my tablet, and then it let me block her. I don't know why they are forcing me to have a felony and it's supposed to be a misdemeanor charge. A misdemeanor charge that I was railroaded to get, that I didn't understand how it's possible for me to get it.
I don't understand that. That's very strange.
I know, but what's stranger is I can't get law enforcement for all these peculiar events, including people repeatedly mowing concrete, getting in the shower with me and the bed with me, and even stranger events than that. So I don't know where to begin because I've been calling 10 years, man.
So they see in there.
Right, but they're using that as an alibi to stalk, and gang stalking is a felony. I'm just trying to prove it. I'm being gang stalked, and they didn't want that charge, so they're using mowing several different times, and I'm being stalked, and they're coming to knock on the door to interrupt crimes and call me to interrupt me exposing crimes, and then they're trying to conceal it. And I'm trying to prove that it's deliberate, that people are really trying to.
Gang members?
No, I'm being illegally monitored by these government officials. And then when I'm incriminating people, they enlist people in my environments to be in cahoots, gang stalk me, and help them cover for crimes. So when people are getting into a bind, people knock at the door, they call. I've gotten text messages and all kind of different things. This time they didn't call because it was too incriminating. So the man was enlisted to come mow concrete 2 times. Then someone enlisted him to came immediately in a truck because I'm talking about it. Then picked up the man, and then the man left.
You should have yelled out there, who sent you? Why are you here?
I've reported it to the police. Almost probably 300 reports. They cover for it. If they did nothing when someone got in the bed with me and was strangling me, and it freaked out people in that environment, people getting in the shower with me, I think that they'll do very little about this man stalking me, pretending like he's mowing concrete. If the people are allowed to get in the shower with me and shelter staff cover for it, in the shower with me, watching me, and then openly on camera footage staring at me at multiple different locations and at church, openly, they won't do anything about someone pretending to mow concrete in front of my window. If I'm locked out on my balcony and I live alone on the second floor and nothing was done, I'm not quite certain on what's going to be done about this until people get their charges.
I'm baffled. I don't know what to say. I don't. Well, I'll get Constable Armstrong to give you a call back, and you can talk to him. I mean, they're constables. Like I said, all they do is serve civil papers, but he can tell you about the civil paper, and maybe he can tell you why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know. I don't understand it. I just don't know that much about it, but I've got some papers I got to get ready for them before they get back from lunch. So I'll have him give you a call, and good luck, and you be careful.
Well, thank
really
you.
Careful.
That's bizarre for me. Normally people hang up in my face and cover for crimes. I don't get a lot of compassion. That's not normal for me.
I didn't hang the phone up. It wasn't me.
Okay.
I promise you. It was not me.
Okay, well, thank you for your compassion and sympathy. Like I said, that's rare for me to get that.
Well, I'll have him give you a call when he gets back, and maybe he can has something, he can touch base on with you, because I don't. All that's so crazy to me. But I've heard things like that before, but I just didn't know it really happened. So apparently it does. So you be really careful.
Okay. Do you have any direction? Because I keep getting the runaround for 10 years plus on what to do with these charges. And there was evidence that there were integrity issues with this police because they rejected charges, but stuck another charge on me that's bogus. So I wanted to know if they have evidence that these police committed perjury crimes and rejected other false reports, and making false reports is criminal for multiple different police departments to do it. Why is nothing repeatedly done? But I want to concentrate on these Itasca police that you rejected charges for perjury. Rejected charges for, it was perjury that I assaulted them and evaded arrest. Why would they stick me with this other charge if they have evidence that they had integrity issues? In addition to that, Officer Scott got a promotion. Why would they reward someone that committed crimes in multiple different police departments?
Girl, I tell you, this whole world's messed up. It's just the whole world's messed up. I tell you.
But I'm not really getting direction. I've been calling 10 years, and then I tried to appeal it. And let me call my attorney. How can I figure out? I can't remember my attorney's name. They wouldn't let me appear at court and then set up for this jury trial that I didn't ask for on a misdemeanor. And like I said, it was peculiar how they set it up, because it was like it was filled like I had murdered someone for a 911 abusive call, a misdemeanor.
Your attorney is. They have to tell
I'm not quite certain on where to go. Who has to tell me for who my attorney is?
The court. The court.
Okay, what's the number to the court, ma'am?
Who was that judge you said?
Judge Crane. For a misdemeanor charge, they rejected the other false reports, and then gave these people promotions that committed the crimes.
Yeah, call that office.
I'm not quite certain on where to call, ma'am. Judge Crane's office, is that where you directed me to call? What court?
It's, let me look on my sheet and see if I
Okay.
can get that number for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Hang on.
I'm not quite sure you pulled out your information and you are not aware of who you're looking for. You had me wait for a number and you're asking me. I'm not quite sure. You know, it was Judge Crane and I
Well,
expressed.
I'm looking for Judge Crane, but I'm not sure if he's a district court judge or a
I'm not quite certain.
county
And
court
all I
of
know it was a
law.
misdemeanor charge. And I'm not quite certain on who do I expose that these charges were, those charges were rejected. So they know that there was a conflict of interest and there was perjury crimes and other crimes being committed. Why they would hold me with that charge if they are fully aware that the officers lied and committed perjury crimes and didn't hold them accountable, and perjury is criminal, and the evidence of him committing perjury was crying and having a meltdown on the stand. So this is the gang stalker friend that got in the bed with me and acted like she was high and was strangling me, and my device is covering for it and made it blurry. Now you can see it. I do. I'm asking you for the number, and you asked me if I had a pencil, and I'm saying what's the number, and then you're asking me.
254
Okay.
582 4068.
And what number is this?
It's county court at law. And they can tell you who your court-appointed attorney is, if that's what you need to know, and anything else. You know, that's the actual court. That's somebody that can give you some information.
Okay, county court. What court?
Well, good luck.
Is that Judge Crane's court?
County court. Yes.
Okay, because for 10
law.
years, ma'am, it's been a hamster wheel that I believe is deliberate to get nowhere. But let's try this, ma'am. I'm just trying to prove my experiences that is what is indeed being done, or people are blatantly lying, playing games to ensure that I get nowhere for 10 years. Okay, ma'am, thank you. So you're going to have the constable call me? You're going to have the constable call me to find out about when I've been served?
Yes, that civil paper. Yes, I will.
You said he came back at 12:15. It's 12:19.
Well, sometimes they're late.
So he's the only one that can tell me about when I was served in jail on these false charges in 2018. He's the only one that can communicate that with me.
He's the one that served the paper.
So he's the only.
His precinct out there. The jailhouse is his precinct.
But no one. It's not in a system or a database of me being served. Period.
No, that has to. He has to give you that.
Okay, and he comes back he had 1 hour and 15 minutes for lunch, but he's late.
Well, they're elected officials, so honestly, they don't have to punch time clock.
People have lied and said people no longer work at locations they did, and they've lied years saying people were off that weren't off, and they were really trying to conceal crimes and keep me trapped in problems that were deliberately created. I'm trying to expose that. So repeatedly people are missing and gone, or no longer working there, or terminated, all these different things, but it's all pathological lies that I'm sure people wouldn't believe.
I just gave you an estimate there. I can't really control what they do.
Well, I do appreciate you not hanging up in my face to cover for crimes. That's a plus. Okay, ma'am, thank you.
I'm just a lowly worker.
Well, I'd appreciate you having integrity and not hanging. You said that the call disconnected on its own, which it appeared to do for other parties, but I'm denied law enforcement. So I don't know what's happening, if people are really hanging up or my device is remotely controlled and people repeatedly tamper with evidence and pathologically lie. I'm trying to prove it. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Well, all these phones,
So they won't give me the report numbers on what happened with this lady getting in the bed with me and pretending like she was mentally ill and strangling me and freaking out people in that environment, and why this sober living environment changed the locks to have it where you couldn't lock the door. I had a key and I experienced all these weird things with people going through my things. So it was good that I had a key, but this party, let's see if you can still see her. So this party right here claimed that she had to change the locks because one other party had the key. In some kind of way, it messed up and she couldn't change the lock properly. So the door was open for several months. And then I'd have all these weird thefts and people would come in that she would let come in the environment, and they would threaten me and mistreat me and steal from me repeatedly. And then curse me out and torment me in this environment. And so I know it's not realistic. So nonetheless, she claimed that she could not fixed the lock, something happened to the lock and we couldn't lock the door. So it was always open for several months. So that lady that I just showed you got in the bed with me and freaked people out. I think that these people are enlisting these people to letting these people torment me, and it's prearranged. That I also have a phone call on when I was bullied and excluded from a get together that she had for all her residents. She told me not to come, and they had this big bash without me. And then when I came in and questioned why I was being excluded from the bash, she closed the door in my face when I was talking and deprived me of mail, which is a felony. So, because she failed to lock the door, that's why someone was able to come in off the streets, get in the bed with me, and strangle me, pretending like they were trying to hug me, and I couldn't breathe, freaking out her own residents. She also demanded that I don't call the police to report crimes that were committed. She said that she was being charged. It was a blatant lie. They pretended like there was no phone in this environment. But the males had a phone, but they wanted females to be in the environment without a phone, and they could not lock the door. The phone was there, but they claimed that it didn't work, and they claimed that they had a phone that didn't work on Bluffman. It's like a horror movie. So these people were deliberately trying to sabotage my ability to call for help in abuse that was pre-orchestrated.
Court of law?
Yes, is this Judge Crane's court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was told to get some clarity on some cases that I had with Judge Crane.
Okay.
Yes, I had I guess it can be considered a small claims court case with Johnny Bowman on an eviction. Not an eviction, but he illegally changed the locks when I had a lease agreement and key.
Do you have a case number?
No, I have my name. I don't. It's so difficult to get clarity. My name is different. Everybody. Okay, is it a case number if you're suing someone because they kept your deposit and changed the locks on you when you had a lease agreement and key?
Filed, and then yes, there's a case number. What's your last name?
It's Clark. Is it typical to try to do a small claims case and then go to court and then they tell you can't appear and keep your money that you filed for the small claims case?
We don't handle small claims. That's usually done through the JP's office or the county court for like evictions and stuff like that. So that's why I'm trying to figure out where the case was or who heard the case to tell
Judge Crane did, but I tried to get it in another county because I thought this county was had integrity issues. And they had me come to court. I got a ride to court because someone did something to my car. I don't remember why I didn't have a ride. But nonetheless, I got a ride to the court, and they would not let me appear at my court date and kept my $600 cash, the $600 I gave them. I felt like I was being defrauded out of funds.
Do you know when that was?
It was 2017, and I was defrauded out a whole bunch of other funds all over the place. But nonetheless, you don't see that case with Johnny Bowman, that Judge Crane, or you said that he don't typically do cases like that?
I'm trying to look it up, but I don't know that was Judge Crane with Johnny Bowman.
It was definitely Judge Crane. I'm not quite certain on all the mix-ups. It was definitely Judge Crane. Because I was confused on why he, I'm not able to speak, ma'am. I was confused on why he let this man build up all these charges at hotel stays and wipe out all my my nest egg that I had. Didn't give me my court. Didn't make this man pay me my court costs. And I wanted all the damages that he done, and the only thing that he made this man do is give me the cost for the deposit he wouldn't give me. He told me that he wasn't giving me my deposit, take him to court. And it was a lot of expenses that I incurred that that Judge Crane did not give me the expenses that I asked for in my settlement. The only thing that he demanded this man do was give me the $1,000 deposit, and he didn't hold him accountable for changing the locks on someone that had things moved in, a lease agreement and key. I thought that was illegal. Have them pay money and then have things moved in, a U-Haul, lease agreement and key, and force them into homelessness, a whole family and one child crying. Then not only going through that living nightmare, I've already paid $600. They won't let me appear at court. And there's also other peculiar things that you wouldn't believe. I had issues getting into storage. The storage said that I didn't pay my bill, but so it held up my day, and I experienced even more bizarre experiences because of that situation. But then I realized the money, it was coming direct debit out of my bank account. and you've been getting the funds, how is it that now that it's time for me to get my items that you're claiming that you couldn't get it and it's direct debit out of my account and I have massive amount of money in my account? So I'm not quite sure why a storage place would lie on me and keep me from my belongings holding up my day. But I experience peculiar things like this all the time. Why would she lie and say that I didn't pay my funds and I couldn't get in my storage and she put a padlock on it? Her own padlock. And I just experience bizarre things like that all the time. More things that I can't communicate that aren't realistic. It's like too many people are being cahoots with some insanity. So nonetheless, she has my money coming from my account, but this and had been taking it several months. But the particular month that I needed it, she puts her own padlock on my property and says that didn't get paid as an alibi on why she's locking me from my own property. So since she did that, some other accomplices were set up for more insanity. But you have to prove something like this because nobody would believe there's a conspiracy. Like, so you can't find it. Judge Crane doesn't do small claims cases.
I found the case because I was looking for Johnny Bowman. This is Johnny and Judith Kenya Clark versus Johnny and Judith A. Bowman, correct?
Right. So is it typical if you're wanting damages and court costs to be paid for him to demand that I pay court costs for this man that illegally changed the locks on me when I had a lease agreement and key and things moved in, demanding that I go to take him to court for my deposit, putting me in further financial distress and trying to steal some of the things that I had moved in? They had a nice home. I don't perceive that he needed my belongings. I'm not quite certain on why he wanted to steal something that meant a lot to me and my family, things that we had purchased for this fish tank. But nonetheless, he tried to steal it and someone came in and, retrieved those items. I told him that's about $80 worth of equipment. He just saved you $80. But nonetheless, Judge Crane didn't give me any kind of award me any kind of damages for what this man had done. And the sheriff had came or someone had came and said, look, sir, you can't change the lock on her when she has a lease agreement and key. Then 3 or 4 other police came up like someone had just got shot and told that escorted that officer away. And then let Johnny Bowman deprive me of interest to this place that I already had things moved in and a lease agreement and key. I never heard of anything like it. So nonetheless, why would Judge Crane condone this man doing that and not reward me damages and make me pay my own court costs?
I don't know, ma'am. I wasn't in court, and that's several years ago, but you can get any kind
In addition to that, I tried to get $600 for the other location that let me go to court and denied me my right to go to court. Those damages. Because I'm not a rich woman, and each time I'm having a nest egg saved, it's like someone's trying. I'm just trying to see because each time that I have a nest egg saved, it's like people are deliberately scamming to wipe out nest eggs, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. You don't want to talk, ma'am? I'm sure she won't answer. I'm not done. I have other insanity going on with Judge Crane. Hello? They won't answer. I'm just trying to expose the cover up.
The person you are calling is currently full.
Oh, I can't leave a message either? For 10 years?
Please
the
try
same
your
pattern?
call again later. Thank you. The person you are
She's not
calling is
answering.
currently full and cannot
10
accept
years.
new
It's not
messages.
isolated.
Please try your call again.
Yes. What location did I call?
Hillsboro,
Okay. May I have your name?
Pamela Chambers.
Oh, I think I spoke with you before. I was trying to get clarity because CPS James Hastings came to serve me and serve me.
Ma'am, we don't have a James Hastings.
I'm not able to speak, ma'am.
Anymore.
I know I'm not trying to get clarity, ma'am. If you give me a chance, I derived a speech impediment because people repeatedly treat me like this and won't let me speak. I can't get anything addressed on why I'm calling locations because they try to hurry up and end calls before I can even communicate. So now I have to rush and speak to try to get something accomplished. And it's affected my communication skills.
I'm only an admin. I can listen.
I haven't been able to communicate you to why I'm calling. For you to be able to say I'm only an admin, if I can't verbalize my reason why I'm calling at multiple different locations, I get nowhere.
Ma'am. I'm so sorry.
Yes, so nonetheless, I got served by James Hastings, and he said that he was terminating my rights and served me. Okay, now he's disappeared, and the teachers that blatantly lied on me, and the court's still withholding my rights being terminated on blatant lies. So nonetheless, James Hastings made false reports, which is criminal. And I reported it to Waco FBI, and they covered for it that all this conspiracy of blatant lies and all this pathological lies all over the place, and that I was being railroaded. So nonetheless, back to why I call Hillsborough CPS. Do you have the case, or did it disappear? Because he served the jail.
Okay, again, ma'am, I'm an admin. I have to refer you to records if you don't have an open case.
I did go through records, man, and it disappeared. There was cover-ups
Okay.
with the CPS records that I got, so I'm trying to get it clear.
Okay, I don't have any records here in the Hill County office. I can give you an 800 number.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So James Hastings out of Hillsborough, Texas. I'm not able to speak in multiple different environments, ma'am. I think it's psychologically abusive, and like I said, it's caused a speech impediment because people repeatedly torment me and violating me, trying to take care of my business and try to railroad me and control the conversation to enforce criminal activity on me. But if I can't verbalize call to call while I'm making the calls, and people repeatedly try to cover for crimes all over the United States, that's abusive to me and criminal.
I'm not covering for any crimes.
But if I can't speak to tell you why I called and you're covering for it and won't let me speak, that's a red flag that there's misconduct. If I can't verbalize in multiple different environments why I called, and they're trying to force me to hurry up and rush to get something accomplished because they won't let me speak year after year. So I don't understand why each call I have to be violated trying to take care of my business. Am I able to tell you what I'm seeking so you can give me direction?
Yes.
Thank you, because I've been robbed of it over 10 years. So James Hastings.
If I can help you, I will give you that information, ma'am. I don't have a problem.
Okay, well, I think you've hung up in my face in the past to cover for it, but let's see how it goes today.
I don't remember talking to you.
I think that this is misconduct, ma'am. Why are you upset? And I'm just randomly calling you, and I've been violated.
I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm not upset.
Okay, well, by your attitude and your depriving me of the right to speak, that's kind of abusive. Okay, so back to why I'm calling. James Hastings out of out of Hillsborough, gave me multiple different, served me multiple different papers telling me that he was terminating my rights. The problem with his terminating my rights, he did not follow policy and did not give me an attorney representation and did not follow multiple different protocols, so he was disappeared off the case. The reasoning behind me calling Hillsborough, I'm not quite sure how to report the crimes that he committed, and he worked from this location. I'm not quite certain of the supervisor because everybody's railroading me to get records and covering for the crime, even though making false reports is criminal. So they're covering for his criminal activity, which makes him accomplices. But I'm concerned about the CPS worker and school teachers making false reports, which is criminal, and why they haven't been held accountable for it. So I'm not quite certain on how to get him investigated for his crime that he committed and his pathological lie, and him slandering me and trying to frame me with mental illness, but there was a witness, there was a problem. So if I contacted the CPS and reported that my daughter was getting bullied and that there was misconduct with the teachers, why isn't that in any of these reports?
Okay. First of all, I have not worked here, and I wasn't involved with that case. I have no idea what case you're talking about.
Okay, well, can I give you my information? This is CPS, Child Protective Services. Let me give you my information, ma'am. Ma'am, just give me.
Information.
No, then let's go. Let's not just let's go on definitives. Let me give you my information. This is CPS Hillsborough. Let me give you my information, and you can go on definitives.
I don't have your information.
Let me give it to you.
Contact records.
You don't know if I have an active case, ma'am. You didn't look up anything. Let me give you my information.
You live here in Hillsborough.
That's why I called Hillsborough, ma'am. Let me give you my information, and you can tell me what you see, and we can go on definitives and not assumptions.
I don't think that. I'm not going to argue that, but go ahead and give me your information.
My name is Kiana, Keyana. Clark, you have it? You need my last name?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Clark, C.
And your social?
Hold the line, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I have to get to my computer.
You have to get what?
Get to my computer to look that up.
Okay.
Do you mind me placing you on hold?
I don't want to be placed on a blind hold, ma'am.
I don't have any way of doing that unless I walk back to my computer. So
I'm not quite certain. So you answer the phone away from your computer?
yes, ma'am, I do.
You can't just walk to your computer with the phone?
No, ma'am. It's okay. It's a desk phone on another desk, and I'm not for sure what you're asking.
I just have had a lot of peculiar behavior with people trying to conceal
I'm
crimes.
sorry that you feel like it's peculiar. I'm so sorry. I don't know what you had to endure with whatever you
I
have
communicated
going on
with you
your
what I had to
prior
endure. I'm
case.
just not quite certain on why all people already in my environment don't get an understanding that I'm being violated,
Okay.
including family members.
Okay, I'm so sorry you're being violated. All I can do is look it up. If you want to hold the line or you want to call me back in 3 minutes, you make that choice.
Okay, I would like
But
for you to be by the computer because it's going to make it difficult for you to answer questions if you have to go back and forth to give me feedback. Are you willing to call me back?
No, ma'am, I'm not, because I'm actually trying to wait on a window and wait on this call too. So
For 10
just
years,
hold the
there's
line.
just been not just
Hold
nothing has
the
really been
line,
able to.
please. Can
Okay.
you hold on?
Okay.
Can you? Thank you.
So the reason why I decided to take the time out to show you the sober living environments, I believe these environments are letting gang stalkers be my roommates. They're letting this man that's not mentally stable send his own staff to torment me and violate me in these environments. So the sober living environment, this lady would let people come in there, threaten me, steal from me, rob me, blind multiple different people, and behave peculiar.
Okay. Okay, this is Pam Chambers. I think you were on hold for me. Like it got hung up and you're back on again, so I'm glad you're here. But, ma'am, I'm in my supervisor's office, and the only thing I can give you is the records number.
Okay, I'm not quite certain on how it was placed on hold, why it's impossible to report crimes for 10 years. First off, we're not
Okay,
getting. I'm not able to speak for 10 years, ma'am. Like I said, people's disrespect and misconduct has caused emotional issues for me.
understand all that.
I'm trying to tell you why I called, ma'am, and I'm being railroaded to take criminal activity a massive amount. I'm telling you the purpose reasoning behind my call. James Hastings committed a crime. A false report is a criminal offense. I'm not able to tell you why I called, Pam. You've also covered for crimes in the past. Can you hear me out?
I'm not covering for crimes because
you're giving me a
know what
record
crimes
number,
you're
Pam. That's
talking
not what
about.
I'm seeking, ma'am. If you let me communicate with you what I'm needing, then we can go from there. This is psychologically abusive to experience this year after year.
You a phone number
I'm trying to tell you.
I don't have any idea to help. I don't know how to help you report.
You won't let me report to you why I called.
Okay, I'm not going to keep arguing the facts.
I don't know why people are using that as an alibi. Maybe you this is misconduct and not can let me communicate why I'm calling to get direction.
If it's misconduct, I suggest that you call our main office in Austin. I have nothing to do with
you won't let me tell you why I call, ma'am. It's vital that I talk to this location, and you won't let me communicate with you to communicate with you on why I call this location.
And I also stated that I'm an admin. So
but you won't let me talk to you. I'm not able to direct you. I feel like I'm being compartmentalized into
directed me 3 or 4 times. And
this is abuse, ma'am. Let me tell you why I called. This is termination.
Okay, I'm going to give you the records number and then I'm hanging up. Thank you.
You did that in the past. I want to know how I can get James Hastings accountability for making a false report. Who do I talk to?
I don't know who you can talk to, ma'am.
He don't have a supervisor. Who's a supervisor there over the staff there?
Hold on a second, ma'am.
That's a crime. James Hastings committed a crime, and you're an accomplice.
You're telling me it's a crime, and I have not committed a crime.
If you're covering for James Hastings and depriving me of the right to report his criminal activity, and this is the location he worked out of, you are accomplice to his crime. I'm trying to report misconduct and criminal activity by James Hastings. You're depriving me of that right and covering for him.
I'm going to hang up. Thank you.
This is how they've been treating me 10 years. They don't want me reporting them. Let me call the police. Yes, I would like to report. I'm sorry? Oh, I guess there's a glitch in the phone. Yes, I would like to report a crime.
Okay, what's going on?
Yes, there's Pam from CPS that's covering for James Hastings making false reports and being in cahoots with a scheme to take my rights as a parent. And she's been covering that for it for years. And hindering a child custody agreements is a felony. And making false reports to a family court is crimes. And it's misconduct to slander a parent to deny them access to their child. And she's a conspirator to that crime. She keeps hanging up in my face and railroading me and forcing me into criminal activity. She's been doing it for years. So I want to report.
She's a CPS worker?
She is a CPS work. I don't know what she does. She won't give me direction on how to report James' crimes, and she hangs up in my face to enforce it. I've been getting treated like this years, and my daughter's about to be 16, and they've kept me away from her and corruption ever since she's been 8. And
Okay,
making false
and
reports to
you're
a family
trying to
court
report
is criminal.
James?
I'm sorry?
And who are you trying to report?
I'm trying to report Pamela for the Hillsborough CPS covering for James Hastings, a CPS worker that took bribes to keep me away from my daughter. And then when he was incriminated, his misconduct, the CPS location is trying to cover for his misconduct and criminal activity. And Pam had just made herself an accomplice by depriving me of a solution to report James Hastings' misconduct and criminal activity.
Okay, and your name, ma'am?
It's Kiana, Keyana. So I don't know, because for all this time I've been trying to report James Hastings' crimes, and the police department has came to give me criminal trespasses to railroad me and deprive me of any kind of ability to get anything resolved. And once they blacklisted me from all Dallas locations, they arrested me at Arlington to prove that they were making a statement that I would indeed be violated and not have access to my child for profit. And everywhere I'm at is covering for crimes, ma'am. Are you there? Okay.
I can have an officer give you a call to see the next steps that you can do regarding this case.
But ma'am, I'm concerned because she witnessed my false arrest screaming in terror at age 8. She's about to be 16. These are priceless years that I can't get back, and I've contemplated leaving this country because these crimes are outrageous. And I just don't see a lot of accountability for people that are acting like they're mentally unbalanced.
Of course.
So I don't know what to do because I don't think it's safe for me to live in this country with people being allowed to behave bizarre like this and repeatedly not being held accountable for their actions.
Of course. The best I can do for you in this situation is direct you over to an officer who can give you more in-depth details on the next steps that you can take.
But I've already reported this. What can we discuss on what happened to my past reports? And why the police department came to CPS to intimidate and bully me when I came in person to get answers.
Of course, yes. So I can just have an officer call you so you can speak to them directly so they're able to actually answer your questions and what you're wanting to know.
Okay, ma'am. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, I haven't had my calls returned in like 10 years. So hopefully they'll call me back. People typically don't return my calls, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Connection
So they're
messaging
so
system.
crooked. Now it's a
From a touch-tone
voicemail.
telephone,
I
you may
believe
dial
it's
an
control.
extension at any time.
This is Waco
For a directory of
CPS.
extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold for an operator.
Okay, now it's allowing me to speak with the operator. But
Sorry,
they have
the
voicemail.
operator is not available. Record your message at
This
the tone.
is how they've
When
kept me
you're
in
finished,
corruption. I
hang
don't know
up
how
or
they're doing
press
it.
pound for more options.
A whole CPS location not answering the phone? Like a whole police department not answering the phone for years, police headquarters, where 150 something reports are uninvestigated. I cannot get them on the phone, period, for years. So it's glitching. I pressed 0 for operator and it's giving me the business
Our
hours.
business hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday
This has
through
happened
Friday.
years.
To return to the main menu, press 9.
For quality assurance, please remain on the line for more options. The telephone number to report abuse. Adult Protective Services. Press 1 for adult business hours for this office. Press 3 for all other calls. Please press 0 to repeat this menu. Press
3.
the pound key.
Our business hours
See?
are 8 a.m.
It's
to 5
glitching.
p.m. Monday through Friday. To return to the
I
main
know
menu,
my
press
story is
9.
incredible on how it just seems like it has to be identity theft ring. How are they able to do this?
Our business hours are 8 a.m.
If
to 5
someone
p.m.
has my
Monday through
story, you
Friday.
have to believe it. You see a
To
3
return
right
to
there.
the main menu, press 9.
It hung up time I stopped recording on its own.
Recorded.
I call the Waco
An
FBI.
emergency.
I don't know what's
Please
happening.
hang
It
up
said
and
San
dial
Antonio.
911. For Spanish, please press 0.
0.
To repeat
I
the
have to
menu,
let you see it because they glitch.
welcome.
FBI San Antonio, how may I help you?
Yes, may I have your name?
This is the officer in San Antonio. How may I help you, sir, ma'am?
You don't want me to have your name?
Well, I don't have to give you my name, but I'm willing to assist you. However, may I?
Yes, can I give you my name and then you look up what's going on with a report I made?
So, how can I help you? Do you want an update on your report?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Now, how did you file that report?
I've filed multiple different kind of ways. Can I give you my information and then you look it up?
No, because I cannot share any information with you.
I don't know. I want to confirm that you got the report. I don't know if I'm. I get railroaded into not getting anything accomplished.
To give you a better assistance.
I'm not quite certain. So you're depriving me of the right to see if you received it or an update. Period. That you're unwilling to give me any knowledge on if someone received my reports. Period. If you're not willing to tell me if there's an investigator that I need to talk to, if they're looking for me. Period. You won't give me anything regarding my reports at all. Period.
Well, because this is a phone center, ma'am.
I call the direct location. I'm not quite certain on how to get the direct location. These calls.
I get your information. I pass it along to one of the other representatives who could assist you. But for me, no, I can't give you any information because I don't have access to anything like that, ma'am. I apologize for that.
Okay, so you're not at the location that I requested to speak with. You're at a call center.
Well, this is a center in the building. So I'll get your information.
Okay, so I have do you have the agent Jamie there?
Do you have a last name?
They just said it was Agent Jamie. And if no, you're not willing to look and see what's going on, and I can't, it's impossible at all these different locations to get anything resolved, then I'm trapped in it. But I don't know how to get clarity on what's going on if the people are depriving me of that knowledge at multiple different locations.
Okay. Do you have the name do you have a last name of the agent?
All I was communicated with that it was Agent Jamie, and I don't know how to get follow-ups done when I'm not being handcuffed and violated and going in person trying to get updates. I found it peculiar because they threatened the police on me for trying to make a report, and I keep repeatedly getting experiences like this. Why would they threaten the police in person for me trying to report crimes? Nonetheless, I called the police on the Waco FBI location, and the police came and gave me a criminal trespass from another location and corruption, like 3 or 4 police. So I'm not quite certain on why I'm repeatedly mistreated all over the place for reporting crimes, because there's all kind of felonies that's happening in that jurisdiction. There's crimes happening in Itasca, Hillsborough, and it appears that there's a big conspiracy of government officials racking up charges for themselves. You just can't call the police department out to enforce crimes, a police department that's been out of control years. But so many parties think that they can call the police out to enforce crimes, law enforcement. I'm just not understanding why they would believe that that's okay. Nonetheless, the Waco FBI that I was trying to report crooked police to did the same thing. I'm calling the police on the Waco FBI, and they threaten the police on me for reporting crimes that they're supposed to be investigating. So you're a call center for the FBI?
This is where all the phones come in, and then we take the information down, and we'll pass them up to the squad.
What information are you taking down? What is the relevancy of this call center? I'm not quite certain on what you do. Okay, what information are you taking down?
Would you please allow me to respond to your question?
I don't know. I get gaslit and blamed every time I'm trying to get something accomplished and hung up on. This is how I've been treated. They're not willing to get their felonies, but wow. They're enforcing crimes that I not get anything addressed for all these years. You see it. It's just draining. They have people violate you in all kind of avenues and not be held accountable year after year. So each location, I'm just contemplating on whether moving churches, but I move churches, move environments just for the same thing to repeat itself over and over again. So I have to go to churches that are playing mind games and violate me and just take it. Someone at a church service just staring at me to make me uncomfortable, and I just have to sit there and take it. How many moves equal an arrest? Okay, I'm done. I've done this 10 years to get nowhere. Day after day after day after day. Who Lord knows how long this upload will be.